When it comes to face shapes, your goal is not to copy hairstyles blindly. Your goal is to understand visual balance. Once you understand how proportions work, you stop chasing trends and start choosing hairstyles that actually harmonize with your features. In the last video, we went into details on how to find your face shape and all, and I will conveniently link that video somewhere up here. If you didn't watch that video, don't panic. I'll still give you like a brief rundown of every shape. Today, we're focusing on hairstyles in order to know which ones to go for and which ones to avoid. Before we even start, I'll give you a hack that I use. The hack is this: find a celebrity that has the same face shape as you and take advantage of the fact that these people have like paid glam team and stylists who make sure that they look good all the time. Go out there and study how their stylists style them. What kind of hairstyles do they wear mostly? Once you understand the patterns, it's easier for you to know exactly what's going to work for you as well. So find a celebrity with similar shape and proportions and see how their stylists style them. Now let's get into it. Hairstyles are based on several principles, but right now I want you to think of the word balance. Whenever we're discussing shapes, I want you to think of two invisible forces: a vertical line, which is length, and a horizontal line, which is width. Every single face is a balance of these two forces, length and width, and the goal in styling any face is to get the balance. That is, if neither lines dominate, the face is going to feel balanced and harmonious. Think of what you're going for as a perfectly balanced scale. There's no tilt to the left or to the right. It's perfectly balanced. And this is why in the last video I placed emphasis on saying that we style features, not just the face shapes. Don't just go out there and copy hairstyles blindly. Understand what every hairstyle does, both vertically and horizontally. Now let's talk vertical dominance. What is vertical dominance? When the vertical line dominates, the face is going to appear longer, narrower, and more elongated. Example is an oblong and an oval face. In those shapes, the vertical line tends to dominate more. So a flattering hairstyle for a vertical dominated face is something that tries to balance it out. So if something is long, how do you balance it? By adding width. So in order to balance vertical dominance, you want to reduce length, add width, and shorten the face. Next, let's talk about horizontal dominance. What is horizontal dominance? Horizontal dominance is when the face appears wider, shorter, and broader. Example is a round face or a square face. So a flattering hairstyle will try to balance it out. If something is wide, how do you balance it? By adding what? Length. So in horizontal dominance, you want to create length and elongate the face. Simply summarize, the horizontal and vertical rule says you place emphasis where you are trying to draw attention and you remove emphasis where you're trying not to draw attention to. Which then brings us to the next section: how to use hairstyles strategically. Remember what I always say, understanding proportions matters just as much as what? Understanding the shape of your face. You need to understand the reasoning behind hairstyles, not just copy and paste. Which brings us to 7 principles that you need to understand in order to know the hairstyle that flatters you the most. Once you understand the reason behind these principles, you would never go wrong again with your hairstyles. And no, I did not forget, I'll still give you a rundown of the face shapes. Don't worry about that. The first principle is volume creates width. Think of it as increasing horizontal dominance. So volume will increase horizontal dominance, and that is because hair expands the silhouette of a face, and having volume at the sides will make your face appear wider than it is. So now I'll give you a quiz, and question 1 is, why would you ever want to make the face appear wider? Like, why would you ever choose a hairstyle that makes your face appear wider? And the answer is because your face has no width or your face is narrow. The second question is, what face shapes have narrow width? And the answer is an oblong face, an oval face, or any narrow face at all. Question 3, would you ever apply this principle on a round face? The answer is no. The answer is no, because in a round face, the width is equal to the length, and the last thing you want to do is to make the face appear like, wider than it already is. You don't want to make the face appear like even more rounder than it is. So you wouldn't apply this principle by adding volume to even create more width on the face. If you can understand this principle and apply it properly, it will drastically change the way you think of hairstyles, because you understand, if I don't want the face to appear like wider, I don't need to add volume at the side. The second principle is the complete opposite of the first principle, and that is height will create length. Think of it as you increasing vertical dominance. Any hairstyle that applies volume at the top or at the crown will make the face appear longer than it is. For instance, what I have on right now. Any hairstyle at all that adds volume at the crown will make any face appear longer than it is. It's all an illusion, of course. The first question is, why would you want to add length or make a face appear longer than it is? And the answer is because the face has no length, or it's too short, or it's too wide. Number 2, what face shapes are wide with little length to it? And the answer is a round face or any face at all that appears short. Which brings us to the next question: what face shapes would you avoid applying these principles to? And the answer is any face that is long. Why? Because it will make a long face appear even longer, and you don't want that. The third principle is bangs will shorten the face. Think of this as decreasing vertical dominance. So if a face is long, you can use bangs to shorten it, and that is because visually bangs cut off vertical spaces. Which brings us to the first question: why would you ever want to shorten any face? And the answer is simple: because it's long. For instance, what you see in oblong or in oval faces. The next question is, what face shapes would you avoid applying these principles to? And the answer is simple: short faces. Because again, remember that what bangs do is it cuts off what? Vertical spaces, and it makes the face to appear like, shorter than it is. So if you have an already short face, why would you want to cut off more space? Does that make sense? Because imagine a face being short and you add bangs to it, it will make the face appear even shorter than it is, and you don't want that for any reason. The fourth principle is lines changes perception. Blunt lines create sharpness and add structure to the face, whereas soft lines or layers add what? Movement and softness. Question 1 is, why would you ever want to add sharpness or structure to a face? The answer is simple, because the face is opposite of what you're trying to do. The face is soft with not much details to it. Example is an oval face or a round face. These faces are soft without much details to it. The next question is, why would you ever want to add softness or movement to a face? The answer is simple, because the face you're trying to apply this thing to is opposite of what you're trying to do. That is, the face is structured and very sharp. For instance, is what you see like in very angular faces, like a square face or a diamond face. These faces are very sharp, so you don't want to add anything that makes it appear sharper than it already is. You want softness and movement around it. The fifth principle is parting changes the symmetry of a face. A middle part or a center part emphasizes symmetry, and if you have any form of asymmetry on your face, a middle part is not the way to go, because it's going to expose any form of asymmetry on the face, whereas a side part creates asymmetrical balance and also softens the features as well. The debate around middle part and side part is something that you see every day, and this is a mistake that most people make. Let me explain. Most people don't think that middle part or side part means anything when it comes to hairstyling, but let me tell you the truth, it absolutely means a lot. This is a mistake you see every day because almost everyone makes it. Let me explain this in detail. Hair parting is literally a visual line of division on the face, and because the human brain is very sensitive to symmetry, that single line can actually alter how people perceive your entire face. A middle part is a symmetry amplifier because it literally splits the face into two equal halves, and visually that will highlight symmetry if you have it. It makes both sides of your face easily visible, which also means it's open to what? Comparison. But here's the catch, no face has perfect symmetry. There's usually something off about one side of the face. Usually one brow is higher than the other, one eye is lower than the other, one side of your jaw is actually stronger than the other one, and your nose and lips have slight deviation. A middle part will not hide these things for you, it will actually expose them more clearly because it gives the human brain a direct side-to-side comparison. So when you see someone with a middle part, your brain actually interprets that both sides of the face might not be perfectly symmetrical. So a middle part will look good on you if your face is perfectly even, whereas it will look bad on you if you have slight deviations here and there, because what? It's going to highlight those things that are off, which is why a side part tends to look good on most people than a middle part does. A side part breaks that symmetry on purpose and takes the visual focus away from having a perfect balance to having an imperfect balance. Visually, a side part draws attention to one side of the face and it breaks the comparison between the left and the right, and this is why side part tends to be more forgiving than a center part. Back to principles. The sixth principle says length would direct the eyes. Long hair pulls the eyes downward, while short hair emphasizes the face. And now to the final principle, principle 7, which is coils actually changes the way a face shape looks. When it comes to hair with coils, people think coily hair is coily hair, but that is not the truth. Coily hair is not always coily hair. Different coil patterns create different visual geometry around the face. How a coil pattern behaves determines if it's going to add length, width, or volume. For instance, when it comes to loose waves tend to fall down over time, which then creates vertical length and elongate the face. Whereas coilier hairs will hold volume and add framing around the face. Whereas kinky or coily hair has a lot of shrinkage and holds density, which then creates upward and outward expansion. The result is the face appears rounder or wider than it is. And finally, we have come to the practical aspects of this, the face shapes and the hairstyles that look good on them. Now that you're armed with the principles, anytime you're choosing a hairstyle and you apply all these principles to that, trust me, you will never go wrong. The first shape here is an oval face. How do you recognize an oval face? In an oval face, the length is always longer than the width. An oval face has softly rounded jaw and the proportions of an oval face are very balanced. What is the goal in styling an oval face? Because an oval face has the right proportions in everything, the goal here is just to maintain balance. And that is why when it comes to an oval face, almost any hairstyle will look good on anyone with an oval face. And all you have to do is focus on enhancing some features like the cheekbone or the eyes. But remember, an oval face is also a narrow face, so you want to avoid any hairstyle that causes it to appear even more narrower. So avoid any hairstyle that covers the face. Now I'll give you an example of hairstyles that look good on oval faces. The first one is layered cuts. Layered cuts look good on people with oval faces. We have cotton bangs, we have bob. Like I said, almost anything will look good on an oval face because the proportions are balanced. All you have to do is avoid making the face appear even narrower than it already is. But again, because an oval face is longer than it's wide, you want to avoid what? Adding more length to it. So what hairstyle do you avoid when it comes to an oval face? Any hairstyle that adds excess volume at the crown and make the face appear longer, you don't want to go for that. Because of what? The second principle says height adds length. So in order for you to avoid making the face appear even even longer, you have to avoid adding length to the face. The second one is a round face. What are the characteristics of a round face? The length of a round face is equal to the width. The jawlines are soft, and the one thing you will always see is the cheeks tend to be full. So the goal in styling a round face is to add length and structure. Why? Because you want to create elongation. You want to add more length, not necessarily more width. So what principle do we apply here? Principle 2, height creates length. So you want to choose any hairstyle that makes the face appear longer than it is. And this is where long layers come in. Long layers look very good on people with round faces. Side parts look very good as well. Any hairstyle that adds volume at the crown, like ponytails and the rest of them, look very good on a round face. You also want layers that sort of frame your face, below the jaw. It kind of makes your face appear longer because of the framing. What hairstyles should you avoid? Anything that adds volume at the cheek. Because of what? Principle 1, volume creates width. So anything that adds volume to the cheek will do what? It will make your face appear even more wider. And mind you, this is a round face. You don't want to appear rounder than you already are. You also want to avoid chin length blunt cuts, because anything that stops abruptly at the chin sort of emphasizes the fact that your face is actually short. So you want to avoid that. That's why I say go for layers that goes way beyond your chin. The next shape is a square face. And what are the characteristics? The first thing is they have a very strong jawline, and the forehead width and the jawline width are always the same. A square face is a very angular face, and the goal in styling this is to reduce the angularity. Based on what we have discussed so far, what principle do we actually apply here? Principle 4, lines changes perception. Because a square face is very angular and sharp and structured, we want something that sort of takes away from those lines. And so the best hairstyles are soft layers and waves. Even a side bang will look good as well as any shoulder length cut with movement, because mind you, movement creates softness. You want to avoid any hairstyles that create blunt cuts, especially at the jaw, because it's going to emphasize that angularity. Always remember, soft textures balances hard angles. A square face is very structured and hard, so what you want is something soft to balance it out, which is what wide layers and bangs and the rest of them will do very well for this face shape. The next one is a hat face. What are the characteristics of a hat face? For one, a hat face is almost like, in some sense, an inverted triangle, so it tends to be broader at the top and then it narrows down at the bottom. So what you see is a wider forehead and a narrow chin. With all I have taught you so far, what's the goal when it comes to styling a hat face? That should be, since the top is very heavy or very dominant, you want to find a way to what? Add volume at the bottom to balance things out. You also want to avoid adding any kind of volume to the top, because the top is already very dominant. So the last thing you want to do is make it appear wider than it already is. What are the best hairstyles for a hat face? We have cutting bangs, we have layers around the jawline. Any hairstyle that adds volume down here will look good on a hat face. When it comes to styling a hat face, all you have to keep asking yourself is, how do I create a balance? The top is already very heavy and the bottom is not. So how do I create a balance where they both sort of, seem harmonious? And that is why adding volume at the bottom is always the way to go. The next shape is a diamond face. What are the characteristics of a diamond face? For one, the cheekbone is always the widest part of the face, and then, the chin and the forehead sort of narrows in. So in styling a diamond face, the goal is simple. Find a way to soften the cheekbone, because it's very prominent and pronounced. What kind of hairstyles we go for in diamond face? For one, a side part is always going to look good on a diamond face. Soft fringes and layers are also going to help, because it's going to help to soften that very angular cheekbone. The next shape is an oblong or rectangle. What are the characteristics of an oblong face? For one, the face is very long and the width is narrow. An oblong face has what? Vertical dominance, not horizontal dominance. So if something is vertically dominant and you're trying to balance it out, what do? You add something horizontally to balance it out. With that in mind, I think it's very easy for you to sort of come up with ideas of kind of hairstyles that will look good on an oblong face. Any hairstyle that adds what? Volume at the width will look good on an oblong face. And mind you, you want to avoid any hairstyle at all that will make the face appear longer than it already is. Because an oblong face is long, we need to cut vertical space, and we mentioned it in a principle. What principle talks about cutting off vertical space? The one that says that bangs helps to shorten the face. So when it comes to an oblong face, a bang is the way to go. We need to find a way to shorten that face and bring harmony. Bangs, waves, shoulder length will look very good on oblong face, but you want to avoid very long hair, because remember, length pulls the eye downwards. So if you add length to the face, it makes the face appear longer than it is, and we don't want that. Which brings us to the last shape, which is a triangle. Just like a triangle, the jaw tends to be the widest part of the face, and then it tapers upward. What is the goal in styling a triangle face? Because the down is very dominant, we have to find a way to add volume to the top. So any hairstyle that adds volume to the top is going to look very good on a triangle face. Anything with side parts and layers will look very good on a triangle face. If you remember, in the last video I emphasized that people are usually a mix of 2 or 3 shapes, not necessarily one. So it's possible possible that you could be a round and an oval, a square and a diamond. And that is why we style features, not just the face shapes. Don't try to force yourself into a category. It's possible that you don't fit into only one category and you're perhaps like a mix of 2 or 3 shapes. Learn to style your features, not just the face shapes. Whenever you look at your face or anyone's face at all, the first question should be, what exactly am I trying to balance here? What's the most dominant feature? Is it the forehead? Is it the jawline? Is it the cheek? That way, it's easier for you to know what hairstyles to go for. Don't think, well, what shape am I, so I can focus on, like, looking for hairstyles for an oval face, a round face and all. You should ask yourself, what features am I seeing in this person? What are the dominant features? Is it the forehead? Is it the cheekbone? Is it the jawline? That way, you sort of know exactly what you're trying to balance out. So whenever you look at a face, think of balance. How can I bring balance to this face? What is dominance here? What do I need to add to, or what do I need to remove? That way, you style yourself in the most flattering way and not just like copy hairstyles that you see online based on face shapes. The next thing I'm going to talk about is braids. For some reason online, whenever people are talking about, choosing hairstyle for your face shape and all, they hardly ever talk about braids. And this is funny because millions of people worldwide wear braids. So like, how do we choose to exclude the category and choose like on the straight hairs only? Anyways, in this video, I'm going to also now school you on how to choose braid based on your features and your face shapes. The first thing you need to know is when it comes to braids, the thickness is what carries the silhouette of that braid. If you have very thin or tiny braid, it's almost like having a straight hair. So it flows naturally, it creates a very soft frame, and of course it looks lighter around the face. And also because braids tend to be very long, braids have a way of what? Elongating your face. Yes, having long braids can actually make your face seem longer than it is because again, vertical lines add the illusion of length. The next one is jumbo braids. Jumbo braids are very thick. Therefore, they cannot behave the same exact way as very fine braids will. Jumbo braids are heavy, therefore they create mass. And what happens when there is mass around the face? It will make the face appear what? Wider than it is. That is why, in my opinion, jumbo braids don't actually look the best on very round faces because I feel like it makes their face appear like even way rounder. Also, if you have a small face or a narrow face, in some way you have to be careful around jumbo braids because they have a way of swallowing the face and it makes you almost invisible and all we can see is the hair. Why I like jumbo braids, you still need to be careful how you use it because then it can create a lot of mass around the face, making your face what? Appear wider than it is. The next thing we tend to ignore in braids is the length of a braid. Yes, the length of a braid matters more than you think. Remember again that anything that is long will pull the eyes downwards. Long braids will elongate the face visually, and this is helpful for people with like round faces or short faces. Yes, if you have a short face or a round face, long braids can actually make your face look longer than it is. So if you have been debating whether you should get a long braid or a short braid, now you know that based on the shape of your face or the features that you have or what you're going for, a long braid might be the way to go if you want length. The next one is short braids or bob braids widens the face. Why? It adds volume around the cheekbone. In my opinion, short braids or bob braids look the best on narrow faces, something like an oval face or oblong. I don't think they look the best on round faces or square faces. I think that this is something you should leave to what? Narrow faces, something like an oval or an oblong. Now, I'll give you a bonus section, which is something that most people hardly ever talk about. How does hair texture affect the shape of your face? The texture of your hair completely changes how the shape, the volume, the proportions behave. The core principles when it comes to hair texture is this. The same exact hairstyle can look very different depending on the texture of the hair in question. Whether it's a straight hair, a coily hair, a wavy hair, they all behave differently. I'll find a way to put the comparison on the screen so you can see for yourself. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.